Yar, heir of Cora, had considered Picasso City her home for almost a century. She had made friends, built a life, but the rarity of Kraken in the city, and the war now raging, had made this UNS city unsafe for her. She had been attacked outside her home, only surviving because she ran. They had chased her, but she could climb the walls as easily as walk, so getting away wasn't that difficult. But now she was hiding. Not an easy feat with her mirror-like casing. She had found a cargo bay down in the loading areas, where crates were stacked high, offering plenty of places to hide. She had hoped to get out of the city, but the bays were being watched, gangs of UNS loyalists hanging around every exit she had tried. More still were patrolling the virtual hub, keeping the Kraken from escaping the city. Sitting in her dark corner, tentacles curled around her body, she hoped the war would end and she could go home, but she knew it wasn't going to be over quickly. The UNS wouldn't back down from their position. They wanted Venus to be like Earth. They weren't about to let a bunch of cloud squids keep it from them. The sound of voices echoed through the cargo bay. Yar tightened her hug, squeezing herself as if she was trying to shrink. The voices were hard to make out, but they were moving around, searching. If they were thorough, they would surely find her. Her hard plating and shiny surface would certainly attract attention if she moved. Like her Venusian cousins, she was far from silent when moving. The metallic plating of her skin scraping and grinding against one another. If they had guns, they would just shoot her down. Most of the voices were humans, likely Mercurians, though she could hear at least one anima and a few bears, more than a match for her in a fight, even at close quarters. Yar was not a warrior. She was a game designer. 2 of her games were in the top 10 on Mercury, making a good income, though she had been disappointed when they were classified as horror games. She had considered them action and adventure. The income had afforded her a nice home. She'd lived there for decades, decorating it with pictures and collectibles. She was collecting 32nd century baseball stars cards. She had almost an entire collection, hanging in display frames around her nest. She'd recently been planning for a child, buying toys and setting up a play space. She'd even been discussing it with a Venusian Kraken, Vel, heir of Nor. He was willing to be the donor and was going to send his code to her when she was ready. He would be fighting now. His size and age would demand it of him, but it was customary to dispatch code before battle, to be sure of your survival and the future of any breeding plans. Perhaps he'd sent it, but the signal never got here, or the Picasso government are holding all Kraken mail. Though she was sure that she would die soon, without any heirs. She would be forgotten. The thought made her feel cold. The voices had grown closer. They were opening containers and checking among crates. They would find her soon. She was sure of it. They would definitely spot the terrifying Kraken lurking in the cargo bay. That's what they would tell everyone. If she injured them, they would even have proof of her evil nature. Yar felt tiny, like she was shrinking to nothingness. They would find her, and that would be that. They would burn her backups at home and tear her limbs from her body. She would die in a cold, dark corner of a cargo bay. The speaker system came abruptly to life, drowning out the voices and stopping the search.
I am Cora, heir of Master. My mother lives forever. I am here, Pepper Square. Come for me, and I shall show you resolve.
The voice faded away. leaving the cargo bay silent for a moment. She heard shouts from the thugs, rallying themselves to take down Cora, Yar's mother. Soon they were running, heading out of the bay toward the main square of the colony. It didn't take long for the cargo bay to fall silent again, but Yar was suspicious of the silence. She considered the chance of a trap for a while, before she slowly, as quietly as her skin would allow, uncurled. After waiting and listening for a while, the silence remained, giving Yar enough courage to make her escape. She moved quickly, heading for the loading bay overlook. If the message had gone out all over the city, any thugs waiting in the bay should have gone looking for her mother. It wasn't far, but the loading bays were always busy, so she was careful, slipping past groups as quickly and quietly as her body would allow. Making use of high ceilings, she climbed. Few others on Mercury could climb as well as a kraken. Soon she was at the bay, coming in through the upper levels, out onto an overlook gantry. A lone Picasso squirrel was standing there, leaning on the railing. His right eyes could see Yar, but he made no attempt to raise the alarm. Nor were there any thugs in the area. She could slip out of the city and head for safer ground. With a final glance at the squirrel, she leapt from the overlook down into the bay, a great thud announcing her landing. The loading bots were not interested in her though, so she rushed across the bay toward an airlock, clambering in and closing the inner door, finally feeling safe as she began the depressurization. As the air grew thin, Yar composed a message to her mother, short and simple, thanking her and wishing her luck. As soon as the message was ready, she sent it. The airlock finished its cycle moments later. Opening the outer door, she checked carefully for thugs, slipping out of the airlock onto the ladder. The airlock was 15 meters from the ground, entirely under the shadow of the city. Despite the shade, the rocky ground was well above the boiling point. Not that it made a difference to her. The Mercurian kraken could survive direct exposure to the sun here. Once she was on the ground, she raised her body high and began running, or as close to a run as she could get, her tentacles rolling over each other as fast as they could handle. Taking 15 minutes to get out of the city's shadow. The sun beating down its warmth and light, she shimmered under it. None of the loyalists could get her now. She was safe. She was free. She was alone.